Are you considering a move to the Great Pacific Northwest, specifically the Portland and Vancouver greater area? Well then, this could very well be the most valuable video you will ever see. You know, so many of you are moving here from California. Well, in order to successfully transition as a Pacific Northwesterner, there are some things you should consider in order to more quickly feel at home here. Hey there, this is Joseph Nelson of the Ascend Home Team. YouTube is an awesome place to learn about most any subject. I go there frequently myself. When you visit my channel, or any other channel for that matter, you will not be divulging any of your personal contact information, even when you subscribe, and I encourage you to do so. And also, even when you like or comment, I don't get any of your personal information, unlike most of the other social media platforms, where as soon as you engage in a post, your contact information is transferred to the creator of that post. But here, you have to call or text me in order to start your own moving experience. Otherwise, we will never connect. All of my contact information is shown below each video in the Show More section. I am a certified relocation agent, and I do both corporate. Corporate is large companies that are sending their employees to the Portland, Vancouver area, and I work in combination with the client and the relocation company. And private relocation, that is you on YouTube. My point is, no matter where the relocating people come from, whether it's from YouTube or from the corporate world, this all fits together perfectly, and I am gaining a ton of experience with the issues that are related to relocating to the Portland, Vancouver area, and I'm happy to share that with you. Okay, here we go. I once had a client that worked on the North Slope in Alaska in Prudhoe Bay. He worked, I think it was Arco, before it got bought out by BP, at an oil drilling station. And this is on the very northern edge of Alaska. He'd work for 3 weeks, fly home, and be home for 3 weeks. And this cycled back and forth for the entire year. One day I met him at his home, and it was 45 degrees in the winter. And he came out in shorts and was wearing no shirt. And I was dressed probably about like I am right now, with a hoodie. I asked him, what's with this? This seemed strange to me. He informed me that it was 100 degrees cooler at work where he just came from, and this feels like summer. My point is, we become acclimatized to whatever kind of weather that we live or work in. And when he works in the North Slope, he wears tons of clothes and has virtually no skin exposed to the element when it is 50 degrees or more below zero. He says everything you do takes an inordinate amount of time because you have to work with gloves on all the time. If you take your gloves off and you try to hold a wrench, it's probably going to freeze to your hand. So the opposite is true if you're moving here from Southern California, which 70% of my YouTube clients are, or Arizona is another common place. You are not going to be comfortable coming here in the winter or living here in the winter wearing shorts and a t-shirt like you did at home. You have to dress like the other people who have lived here before you, like me. I've lived here for over 60 years, and I love it. So I've got some ideas for you to make your transition to moving to a cooler climate than Southern California, to make this transition a little smoother. Look for a home with lots of interior light, and when touring the home, imagine yourself being able to leave the blinds open rather than closing them during the day, looking at the views and neighbors that potentially are looking right in through your windows, because you're going to be much happier with a well-lit home with natural light. Also, painting the walls a very light, even white color, and off-white, will reflect much more exterior light. That is easily solvable. But if the rooms are naturally dark because of the lack of windows, that's a lot more difficult. And you should consider that when you're looking at homes. A dark home in the winter will produce a dark mood. A bright home will improve your attitude and mood. Next, buy a home or be willing to add a covered outdoor living area. This would be a deck or a patio. Outdoor living areas are very big in the Northwest. A covered deck with built-in seating and maybe even an outdoor kitchen is a huge asset. Just being able to go outside and use your barbecue in the winter when it's raining can really change your mood. And consider either a wood or a propane fire ring to place in your covered outdoor space. Now, my wife and I have taken this to an extreme. We put a greenhouse on our deck. Oh, sure, we have some plants in it. Everybody has a greenhouse, has to have plants. But our primary objective was to be able to increase the number of days that we can be outside and be comfortable. It can be a cloudy day with the doors closed. It can be 70 to 80 degrees inside. Or today, November 9th, it is clear, not a cloud in the sky, and it's only 50 degrees, but we had to open the doors to the greenhouse because it was just too darn hot. If it's cool outside, it can be warm in the greenhouse. If it's raining outside, it's dry in the greenhouse. And this can also be accomplished by putting in what they call a sunroom, which is basically a greenhouse that has 3 walls and butts against the house. In the dead of winter, we have a propane heater and a carpet we roll out to reduce the airflow. In the summer, we roll the carpet up to get more airflow through the greenhouse. And so there is really no time of year that we cannot enjoy the outdoors. We also have a cover over our hot tub. Hot tubs are great to warm you when you are chilled. We use our hot tub daily in the winter. You want to make sure you have a good heating system, and the most efficient heating system in the Northwest is powered by natural gas. You don't want a huge electric bill that it's going to scare you from turning up the thermostat. Okay, that's the home. Now let's talk about when you leave the home. There's so much natural beauty here. Everything is green, but this doesn't come with a price. Even along the freeway where the grass browns out in the summer, as soon as the rain starts in the fall, it immediately greens back up. We're just leaving months of beautiful California type weather throughout the summer. We can go 90 days here without any measurable precipitation in the summer. And really more like 4 months of really nice weather. But the other side of weather that California does not have is the rain. Seldom does it rain all day long, but it does at times. Generally, we get days of mixture between rain and clear, maybe 50-50 during the day. And then we get a day or two of totally clear weather. But in the winter, when it's clear, we tend to be cooler. This is your time to take advantage of getting your dose of vitamin D and get out in the sun. Go for a walk or a hike or go fishing. Feel the sun on your face. But let's talk about the need for a different wardrobe here when you leave the home. You have to invest in a Pacific Northwest wardrobe. People really don't use umbrellas here. We like to have both hands free for whatever we're doing, whether it's shopping or recreating. So you're going to need a Gore-Tex raincoat with a hood. These are quite light. They're not heavy. And Gore-Tex is breathable, unlike plastic rain gear where you sweat inside and you're almost as wet as you would have been if you weren't wearing any rain gear. But the fact is, Gore-Tex breathes, lets the moisture out that your body produces, especially with vigorous activity, but keeps the rain out. And if you don't have a pair of Gore-Tex rain pants, as the water runs off your raincoat, it's going to all end up on your leg. When you leave your home and go shopping or for a hike, wear your raincoat. If it starts to rain, put the hood up. And nobody here buys yellow rain gear. Blue, green, black are the most popular colors. And get your rain gear big enough to where you can layer clothing underneath your rain gear and still not have it fit too tight. Dressing for the cooler time of year starts with a base layer. This would be a t-shirt. And when it gets colder, you're going to want long underwear. And if you're going to tell me you're always cold, for God's sakes, get some long underwear. This will solve your problem. You could start with quilted cotton or polypro. These are pretty inexpensive solutions, and when you want some really warm long underwear, go with merino wool. But the wool long underwear may be too warm unless we are having sub-freezing temperatures. Then you can layer on top of that your pants, a dress shirt. This is generally adequate when it's mild. When it gets colder, add a layer of wool or a hooded sweatshirt like I'm wearing right now. And when it starts raining, you just put your hood up. But please avoid black hooded sweatshirts. They tend to kind of scream that you're trying to hide from somebody. People here that are doing illegal activities that want to hide their identity typically wear black hoodies and wear them kind of over their faces, so even cameras make it difficult for people to be identified. I like the Carhartt brand hoodies without a zipper. They're pullover and they have a hood. This may be an area where practicality is in conflict with fashion. No, they are not a fashion statement. They are warm, and when it gets cold or starts to rain, it's easy to pull the hood up. There are 3 places in the Portland-Vancouver area that I would recommend looking for Pacific Northwest clothing. Cabela's is one, REI stores, and for those not faint in the pocketbook, the Filson store. Filson products are expensive, but will truly last a lifetime. I have Filson products that are decades old. A wool coat, for instance, that cost $400, but I can tell you it is in as good of condition now as the day I bought it. But you're not wearing it every day. This is for seriously inclement weather and cold conditions. But when we have those, I can be perfectly warm and comfortable. And the nice thing about wool is that it does not get cold when it gets wet. You're also going to need some hats. I wear everything from a baseball cap like I'm wearing right now. I don't have much hair, and so I need something to keep my head warm, and your head is your thermometer. You ladies are fortunate that the style provides for having lots of hair, but even the ladies are going to want to have some hats. So I wear everything from a baseball hat to a fedora, something with a wide brim to keep the rain and sun off of your head. While boating, I have a very wide brimmed hat that has a chin strap that keeps it from blowing off so I don't lose it. And you're going to want some good shoes, something that's waterproof. I have some boots that I can walk through puddles ankle deep and my feet do not get wet. And you want at least one set of boots that have good traction. Hiking boots, for instance, would be a good choice because many of them are waterproof, lined with Gore-Tex again, for when we get that once a year snowstorm. Then top all this off with a few sets of gloves. So vehicles, another area of consideration. Most people in the Pacific Northwest opt for an all-wheel drive vehicle, something that's not real common in Texas. Most of even the pickup trucks here are four-wheel drive. It's actually quite rare to see a two-wheel drive pickup here in the Pacific Northwest. So get an all-wheel drive vehicle. As a good sedan would be something like a Subaru, but all the manufacturers now make all-wheel drive cars. Just remember, these vehicles can go like heck in the snow, but they don't necessarily stop any better than any other vehicle. Don't get overconfident by the traction you get moving forward, because at some point you will need to stop. When it rains really hard, watch for large collection of water in big puddles. You don't want to go blowing through a 6-inch puddle at 40 miles an hour. Make sure you have adequate tires for the winter. You can get all-season tires. Make sure if you get an all-season tire that it has a little triangle with a snowflake in it, because these tires are rated for snow and you may be able to get over Mount Hood without putting on chains as long as it has that insignia. But most of the people go for a second set of tires with mounted on separate rims. This makes it really easy to change them out. You change into your snow tires in the fall and you change back into your highway tires in the spring. And you can do this yourself if you go to Harbor Freight and get a little floor jack for $40 and spend another $40 on an electric impact wrench. And it's really easy to get your tires off one at a time and put the new ones on And then you need a torque wrench to make sure that your lug nuts are torqued to the proper specification. Or you can just buy your tires at Les Schwab, stop in at any Les Schwab with the tires in your trunk or in the back of your car. They put them in a big yellow plastic bag so that they're not going to get your upholstery dirty, and they will change them out for free as long as they're on separate rims. If you only have one set of rims, they have to be broken down twice a year to change the tires back and forth, and they charge for this. So if you've got really nice wheels on your vehicle in the summer, you may opt to just get some cheapos for your snow tires. Personally, my snow tires are studded, and these get me most anywhere I want to go in the winter, even over Mount Hood, without having to chain up. And studded snow tires are great in ice, whereas snow tires without studs do not perform very well in ice. And we do periodically get freezing rain here in the winter. And while we are talking about vehicles, you should have an emergency kit in your vehicle. I'm not going to give you a complete list. You should have a blanket in case you get stranded and it's cold, some bottled water, some candy bars or snacks that keep well, a rechargeable LED flashlight, some flares, and even a disposable poncho to throw over you to keep you dry while you change a flat or something like that. Also, get AAA. This is a towing service, and they will also bring you a gallon of gas and put it in your vehicle should you run out. Next, install a good weather app on your phone. I like WeatherBug. Now, I use Apple products. The Apple app that just comes up on my homepage, which is pretty good for just general projection of what the day is going to be like. But when you really want to drill down into the day, I like WeatherBug because they give you an hour by hour forecast of what the weather is going to be like. You can see whether we're going to be looking at rain all day long or whether it's going to be off and on, which is generally the case. And it even has a radar feature which shows the direction of coming storms or coming clearing. And after a while, you can pretty well predict when it's raining right now, hey, it's going to stop in about 15 minutes. Whether you are going for a neighborhood walk or doing some shopping or going on a hike, going fishing, and there is some world-class fishing here in the winter. Go crabbing or clamming, or just spend the day or the weekend at the coast. Go skiing on Mount Hood. Go to some brew pubs or experience some fine arts and fine dining or professional sports, golfing, kayaking. Take the kids to the pumpkin patch. You know, today is November 8th and there is not a cloud in the sky. But the temperature range between the low and the high today is 40 and 56. So dress for it, be comfortable, and get some much needed vitamin D. It has proven to affect your mental frame of mind and mood when you get sunlight. The more you get, the better you feel. And when we get those days of totally clear skies, you should appreciate and make it a point to spend some time outdoors. And that will help carry you over through the next few days that may be raining. So now you should be prepared for whatever weather we see in the Pacific Northwest. No, this is not California. But if we prepare ourselves like those who have lived here before us, you too can be perfectly comfortable here. And scoff at those in the rest of the West who are worried about running out of water. We will not run out of water here. It will always be green and lush here. And I can guarantee you will never run out of things to do outdoors in the Pacific Northwest if you are prepared. You know, to the extreme, I used to go hunting in the winter in eastern Oregon in temperatures from 0 to 40 maybe was the high for a week. We would camp in a tent with a wood stove inside the tent. We're perfectly comfortable at night inside the tent. Daytime temperatures averaging 10 degrees and being perfectly comfortable. In fact, this is an adventure I would look forward to each year. So no matter what your personal recreational choices are, you just need to be prepared. Have the spirit of a kid and get out there. I still say, I'm not sure what I want to do when I grow up. And I used to always say, working in the rain sucks, but fishing's awesome. So the alternative to not being prepared is to stay in your home all winter long and become depressed and regret moving to the Pacific Northwest. And you can always take a winter vacation back to California or Arizona to see your friends. My wife lived in Hawaii for 30 years. There are few areas that seem more awesome than Hawaii to me, but she really appreciates the Pacific Northwest. She appreciates the cold weather and having more than one season. She loves that we can drive in a couple hours to so many different climates. We can drive an hour and a half to the Pacific Ocean, where there's a rainforest, or you can drive an hour and a half to the east and be in the high desert that gets 8 to 12 inches of rain a year. And she loves the fact that she can afford to buy a home here. Prices in Hawaii are crazy. She loves that you can travel from state to state in your car and not have to get in a plane. But sure, she gets cold at times. And again, we jump in the hot tub for just 30 minutes or so. This warms you to the bone. After getting out with your core warmer, she no longer feels cold. And we love low maintenance. And we have a saltwater hot tub that generates its own chlorine. The maintenance demand is put a cup of salt, bleach, and vinegar in the hot tub once a week. And while talking about maintenance, most of the lot sizes on newer homes in the Portland, Vancouver area are small, and the workload for the landscape is pretty light. Make sure you have all-weather access all the way around the house. If you don't have concrete all the way around, you can use gravel. You want to be able to circulate all the way around your house without stepping in mud. Have ample outdoor living spaces. Most people here don't have pools. Now in the summer when it gets really hot, we turn our hot tub down to about 80 degrees, and when it's hot we just get into that and it cools us right down. But a hot tub, a fire pit, lots of seating for you and your guests, and a covered outdoor kitchen, and you are well on your way to entertaining in the great Pacific Northwest. So I think that about covers my advice for the basics of buying a home and living in the great Pacific Northwest. Again, you will never run out of things to do here. You can always spend time in the winter researching and planning some of your great adventures that you're going to have when the nicer weather gets here. And after a short period of time, you will become acclimatized to the weather in the Pacific Northwest, and you will never look back. So with that, I am waiting for your text or call to start your own moving experience. Thank you.